Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. So today is my long-awaited updated brow routine. Ever since I went to Los Angeles, if you are new here, welcome. Hit that subscribe button before you continue, but I did go to Los Angeles like a couple of weeks ago, very luckily, with feelunique.com and Anastasia Beverlyhills. It was a press trip as Anastasia Beverlyhills has now launched all of her makeup on feelunique.com. I was very lucky enough to get my brows done by Anastasia herself. Yes, if you don't know who Anastasia Beverlyhills is, where have you been under no eyebrow zone rock? She very kindly did our eyebrows using her own personal techniques and tricks and how she looks at eyebrows and does them. If you just want to see how I do my brows, feel free to skip ahead in the video, but I just thought I would share some insight into Anastasia Beverlyhills and just talk to you a little bit about this, like how she does them, because I found it so interesting when she told me, but I'll keep it as brief as possible. So before we get started, let's talk about Anastasia Beverlyhills, her history. I think she said she was from Romania and she only studied makeup briefly, and before that she did kind of mechanics and science and all that kind of stuff, so she kind of combined the two together, and she's very into like the Da Vinci Code and all of that stuff, so saw the face as very kind of mathematical, scientific and structural. So when it comes to like the angles of the face, she's very kind of into it and knows exactly the placement of each thing, hence why the products that she brought out first were like contour kits and brows, because they are a very structural part of the face. When she first moved to Los Angeles, she obviously didn't really speak much English, so all she could really do is be like an esthetician, which is just someone that does like your brows and stuff, because you don't really need to speak to be able to do that. And she came over at a time where brows weren't really even a thing. She just kind of rented a room in a beauty salon offering to do people's eyebrows using eyeshadow and water to create like a pomade, and she started to build up a big clientele because, like I said, no one was doing eyebrows, no one was filling them in, and people were seeing the difference that it made to their faces and were just spreading the word and loving it. And then one day this woman came in and got her brows done by Anastasia, fell in love and said, do you know what, I'm gonna bring someone in tomorrow to get her brows done too, so like I want you to do her eyebrows. So the lady that came in to originally get her eyebrows done was Cindy Crawford's agent, who then the next day brought in Cindy Crawford to get her eyebrows done, and that's kind of where it all started. Cindy Crawford fell in love, spread the word with all her celebrity friends, and that is how Anastasia kind of grew in the celebrity eyebrow world and became the phenomenal businesswoman that she is today. Honestly, when she was telling me all this stuff, I was just so like infatuated with what she was saying. She is such an interesting, so intelligent woman, I'm not even joking. But anyway, she then went ahead and told us how she sees her eyebrows, which I actually do talk about in the video, so I will leave that then. She's very into the more kind of natural brow, nothing too heavy, so her techniques are very simple yet effective and kind of take maybe a little bit of patience, but you achieve kind of the best looking brow for your shape, which I do go and talk about in the video, so I really hope you guys appreciate that. I really hope you guys learn something new, maybe learn a few more techniques and tricks like I did and get the best brows that you can. I hope I explain it in a way that is easy to understand. I can't wait for you guys to see my like before and after of my brows. I mean, you do in most videos, but I really hope you guys find this video helpful. If you do, make sure to give it a thumbs up before we continue. But obviously, without further ado, let's get started with the video and let's get serious with our brows. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and just do this brow to show you so I can do a comparison. So the first thing you want to do is kind of make sure that you've got the shape in check before you do anything. I've never seen anyone use the like spoolie end of a brush as much as she did. She honestly used it as one of her main tools. So you just want to make sure that all your brow hairs are relatively short. So what she did was brush them all kind of upwards, and the ones towards the top, if they were kind of long, she would give them a trim. So just like the ones that you can see here, I'm just gonna give them a little trim. Then also she would go in and just kind of pluck away at any kind of stray hairs. Now this is just going to give you like a good base to start with, just like your makeup or anything like that. You just want to make sure that your brows are as like tidy as possible, and then that makes everything a lot easier for you. So it's kind of easy to find where kind of stray hairs are, just the ones that don't really follow the shape of your brow. I remember when I was sat down in the chair, she was like, do you mind? And I literally was just like, you know what? do what you want. So just kind of like the stray hairs around the brow. So I like to do my brows kind of just before I do my highlight, but I've normally done the rest of my face. If you're quite like a messy person and kind of like to use a lot of concealer, maybe go ahead and do your brows first, but she was quite happy to do my brows when I had my makeup done, and that's just kind of the way that I do them too. Now in terms of the shape, she said that they should always start in line with your nose. The highest point of your brow should be from the nose all the way kind of at that angle, and the distance should be the size of your eye between. So she made mine a lot more arched, as you can see. That's kind of the shape that I've still kept, and it made such a difference. So that for me was a big difference. So like I said, you want to keep a eye's distance between your lash line and the highest point of your brow. So there's a tip for you if you didn't know that. And then the end of your brow kind of ends at this angle, or like length. So I did tell her, I was like, my brows are naturally really short, and that's why I always like to do my brows before my highlight, because I need a little bit of product there. Drawing product on top of highlight can be like difficult because highlight's a really like shiny surface. But now we've got the shape in check, we can go ahead and fill them in. So Anastasia's technique for filling brows in is to go in with a pencil first, and I'm obviously going to be using the Anastasia Beverlyhills Brow Wiz to do so. This is just a lot more of like a defined pencil and like micro pencil, and that's the kind of thing that I have always loved. I've always loved her Brow Wiz or any sort of micro brow pencil, so I was so glad that she used this. And the colour that I'm going to be using is taupe. Now I'd never used taupe before, I'd always used medium brown, but her technique is to go in with a lighter shade of Brow Wiz and then a darker shade of the Dip Brow Pomade. Now you want to do that because the light pencil is kind of gonna give the illusion of the shadow that your hairs already create. So like when you brush up your hairs and stuff, there is a light shadow underneath, and that's kind of what you're mimicking with the pencil. So the pencil is used to fill in like the base of the brow. So I'm just gonna raise my brow to tighten the skin and just go ahead and trace. Now back in the day, I always kind of filled in and extended the bottom of my eyebrow, and that's what made it look a bit thicker. But she told me that I needed to extend on the top of my brow. Now to make it easier for yourself, you can draw your guidelines in. So I'm just going to do a little dot here with the pencil to show where my brow should start. The highest point of my brow should be here, and then my brow should end, yeah, where I was kind of doing it, around there. So now I can just go ahead and fill in. We're basically just filling in the shadow that's already there. So just kind of tracing the bottom of the brow, just following it around. It doesn't have to be too neat to start with, because we will go ahead and tidy it up. But then what she did do was brush all the brow hairs down, just so she could see like what parts she hasn't filled in, and kind of go in with these like downwards motions, and then brush them all up, and then just go in where the shadow is. And already this is creating a really natural looking eyebrow. And then as you get towards the front of the brow, she made sure to go in kind of more circular motions, like going back up into the eyebrow kind of thing, and then always going back in with that spoolie brush to diffuse it out. Now that's kind of it for the pencil side of things. I'm now going to go in with a dip brow. This is probably like her most infamous product, and it's one of the best products ever. Now she said for this part, because this is where you do the defining, you want a really firm angled brush. So this is her brush in number 14. I have left the links to all of these down below, but this is considerably darker than the taupe dip brow. And what you want to do is just kind of take a bit of product on the brush, just by kind of like tapping it in and then brushing kind of the majority of it off, so you barely have kind of any on the brush. And what you're going to be using this for is the mimicking of the brow hairs. So you're only going to be doing light strokes going through. So for me, I need to kind of concentrate this most towards the end of the brow, because that's where I don't have any hair and I need to like mimic the appearance of hair. Always just make sure to like brush off product if you feel like you've got too much. much, because it is so easy to just plonk a shit ton of product on and you've like suddenly got these scouse brows that you didn't mean to have. Can you see it just looks a lot more natural? And that was the part that kind of like shook me the most, was just how swapping around your products and using science and just really thinking about like what you're doing rather than what actually looks like good, if that makes sense, really can create such a different brow and really transform your face. So I'm literally just following the direction of my hairs and drawing them in. So I'm just gonna add a couple more on the top there, just to get a little more shape, and brush through like she always did, literally every step, always brushing through. But this brush is honestly insane. It is so small and so defined. If you've got a slightly thicker brow, you might want a slightly thicker brush. So example, her brush in number 12 would be amazing to get the similar effect. But can you see, it really does look like a naturally more filled brow. Obviously we need to just tidy up underneath slightly, but honestly just using that lighter pencil to create the illusion of shadow, and then going in with the darker brow hairs that kind of match the color of your brow hairs to create the illusion of more brow hairs, just creates the most perfect eyebrow. And also knowing how to shape your brow too, so knowing when to start, the distance that you should have and where it should end will honestly change the shape of your face completely. And this is what I mean when I say brows make such a difference. So when it came to using concealer underneath the brow, I know a lot of us like to conceal all the way across. She said that was like her biggest pet peeve, and like it's not what you're meant to do, because when you highlight your face, for example, you want to highlight the highest points, and it's exactly the same with your eyebrow. You want to highlight the highest points. So I'm going to take the Pro pencil in base 2, which is a really nice natural color for me, and you just want to kind of concentrate it mainly on the highest point of the brow, which is obviously your arch. So that's where she placed like majority of her product. She then took a brush number 20, which is a really amazing flat topped brush, and what you do is then use that brush to sculpt and add more precision in terms of placement of the product and just dragging it down to blend. So you can get a bit of like a more defined tail of the brow. And then any of the excess product, not any product placed there, you can use to tidy the front if needs be, like so. And then I'm just gonna kind of take that brush to tidy up the top, just from where brushing through a little bit took off a bit of me foundation. That's why that brush is so good to do that. You can be so precise. And that, once you're happy with it, is our finished brow. I mean, I'm never ever going to be able to do it the way that she did my eyebrows. She is the queen and she had a lot more of the knowledge like in her head. But look at the difference. It's definitely a lot more arched than I used to have it. If you are a subscriber of mine, you know I used to have quite straight brows, but honestly having a lot more of an arched brow really elongated my face, and it was all to just do with knowing where to place each angle. She does do brow kits that have the kind of stencil in it and can help you. But yeah, I just feel like this technique has honestly changed my life, and if you've never used that kind of technique before and you're struggling with your eyebrows to look a bit more on the natural side, definitely give it a go. Go for a lighter brow wiz, a darker pomade with a really precise precision brush. Only highlight the highest points of your brow and really try nail that shape. But once you're happy with your eyebrow, you can go ahead and lock it in place using her clear eyebrow gel, and this also just is great to feather up your brow and just give it a little more texture and make sure it's not going anywhere. So yeah, I'll give you a quick before and after again. So the main tips I would take from this video is 1, make sure that they're all kind of primed, trimmed and ready by just plucking the excess brow hairs once you know the shape that you're going for, and cut away at all of the longer hairs towards the top of the brow. You want to measure from the nose. This is where your brow should be at its highest point, and the highest point should be an eye width apart, and then the end of your brow ends here. Always fill from above, never try and lower your brow, and highlight the highest points using a more natural highlighting colour. I hope you found those tips and tricks really helpful. I'm now going to go ahead and do the other brows so I can show you them together, and then I will be back to finish the video. And now this is both brows done. So you can see, I feel like they just look a lot more natural, a lot more full. I'm in love with this new technique, and I'm so grateful to have the opportunity to have learned that technique by the queen herself, Anastasia Beverlyhills, and to be able to share it with you guys. So I really hope you guys found this video interesting. So that was the end of the video. I really hope you guys enjoyed it. I've left the links to everything that I've used down below, all now available at feelunique.com. Just wanted to say thank you so much, Feel Unique, for inviting me on that trip, and obviously to Anastasia Beverlyhills for teaching me all those techniques and tips that I can now share with you guys. If you guys do try this technique, let me know and show me your before and afters of your brows. I would love to see if it works for you. I hope I made this kind of as easy as possible, and you found the beginning of the video and everything and all the facts as interesting as I did. I just love learning. I love learning new skills, so I really hope you guys learn something new. Definitely make sure to give this video a thumbs up, and if there's any more kind of routine videos that you want me to update or do, let me know in the comments down below. Don't forget, I've just launched my merch Take 2. The link to that is down below. Also, come check out the new bits just in time for Christmas. I really hope you guys love them as much as I do. And again, if you get any of the new items, tag me, show me. I can't wait to see you guys in them. But yes, thank you guys so much for watching, and until the next video, I will see you then. Bye guys.